So there are two reasons why I decided to do this. The first is that I'm bored, and the second is because I was perusing the internet and I saw a video from a random guy on this topic, and he said like at some point, I've never played Demon Souls, but I think it's a C tier game. So I was like, wait a second, I have to do something about this. So I decided I'm gonna make my own tier list, which is gonna be the ultimate correct opinion, by the way, on this, because I've been playing these games since the beginning, since when the Demon Souls came out. So actually, before I go into it, I will say that I have bought every game on release except Bloodborne, which I played in 2019 for the first time because I didn't have a PlayStation 4 when it came out in 2015. And Sekiro, which I was not interested in when it came out. I just played it recently in 2022 before playing Elden Ring. So yeah, but there's no multiplayer, so it doesn't really matter about the timing of the release. So what I'm gonna be basing the tiers is pretty much on a couple of things. So first of all, I'm gonna base on the overall experience of the game, like the environment, the setting, the atmosphere, the combat, everything, like how it feels, how immersive it is, how fun it is to play, so for the single player. Then I'm gonna pay a lot of for me, I really like the PvP in these games, so I'm gonna put some weight for that. And then, also another thing is how the game aged, because some of these are very old, like Demon Souls is like more than 10 years ago. So it's a very old game. So how does it, play today, all of that stuff. Let's start. Which one should we start with? I think I'm gonna start with Dark Souls 1 because this is is like the masterpiece, it's the one that really started it because it's the one that had really big success in terms of media, and also a lot of people came from Call of Duty to play this because this came out on the Xbox 360. So it was like before that, Demon Souls was PS3 exclusive. So only PlayStation people played it. But Dark Souls, all the Call of Duty people came to play. And now you have a lot of people that are full-time on Dark Souls 3, But they used to be Call of Duty players from Xbox, So this increased the popularity of it a lot. I think there's also the remastered edition. That's interesting. There are some difference between the two. But okay, let's talk about Dark Souls, okay? So when the original Dark Souls came out, it was like the best game ever. It really was because it was Demon Souls, but better in some ways, but also worse in other ways, let's say. I think Dark Souls was the vision they had in terms of the world, but they couldn't do it in Demon Souls because they didn't have the resources, let's say, to do it. Demon Souls is a much smaller game overall. So in Dark Souls, they already did this open world thing where you can go wherever you want. It's a lot of fun to explore, a lot of fun in terms of the variety of the characters you can have. It's like a complete RPG, I think, in a high fantasy setting. And it's refreshing to have a game that is actually requires you to be, to focus. It's like Dark Souls is like Diablo, it's like the original Diablo 1 I'm talking about. I played Diablo 1, it's like the same. You have to go slow, you have to take your time, check every corner, but the difference is that Diablo 1 has no combat, or it's only clicking, basically. This has actually a good combat, where you have to dodge, you have to, learn the moves, all of that, be very cautious. This is very slow, it's probably the slowest game of all of them. It's has the slowest combat system, the slowest movement, so it is very methodical game. But overall, the single player experience is great. I think obviously there are some flaws, especially later on in the later areas, because they got pressured into finishing this game early. But overall, the pacing of the game is very nice, especially in the first half when you go through the whole thing and figure out Blighttown, you know, how to get to Sand Fortress, all of that. Like all the, you know, vertical structure of the game is very nice. Later on, it does get a little bit, the quality goes down a little bit. So that's a little bit of a flaw in my opinion, because honestly, in Demon Souls, there's none of that. In Demon Souls, the quality is always 100% because the game is so smaller, so much smaller. They just cut it. When they couldn't make it, they cut it. They didn't do it. Whereas here, they still did Lost Isle. They did like even the catacombs, like the tomb of the later stages of the tomb of the giant. You can see that it's like, yeah, okay, sure, but they kind of rushed that, yeah, in some way. The archives also, in my opinion, are just kind of I just don't like that place at all. So the later areas are not very good in my opinion, but the early game, the mid game, super nice. So that's for the PvE. Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about bosses maybe, but everyone knows about Dark Souls 1, so I don't have to go over literally everything. But I'm gonna put this in A tier, okay? Because I've not talked about the PvP yet, but still I'm gonna put it already because I already know where it goes. For the PvP, this game has the Dark Souls and Demon Souls have the best PvP in my opinion. Dark Souls 1 PvP is very good, but the problem is that people cannot get into it because there's like a very steep learning curve, let's say, where if you don't understand some of the mechanics of the PvP, like how backstabs work, how lag stabs work, you know, how the movement, the spacing of it, if you don't understand that, you're gonna get punished super hard and people just get one-shotted and they're like, oh my god, I'm gonna quit this PvP is trash. But once you understand the basics of it, like it's pretty much all revolves around backstabs. So once you understand backstabs, you're gonna be fine. And actually the PvP is super nice. There's a lot of variety actually. In my opinion, it's not very enjoyable if people are really tryharding. It's enjoyable when people are more of like a connoisseur, the way I like to say it, and they kind of, they don't like, it's when they don't really fish for backstabs all the time, because backstabs are the most broken thing in this game. But if people don't really do it all the time, the game is actually super fun. But backstabs are still useful to punish noobs, you know. So I think the PvP is great in this game overall. I think it's just great. There's a lot of ways to engage in PvP. You can do invasions, which are, I'm gonna talk about this, but invasions are actually good in this game because you get rewarded. You get souls when you kill people, not like the later games when you don't get anything, so there's no point. You can play 1v2, 1v3 just fine because of the backstabs. If you can abuse backstabs and they're noobs, there are 3 noobs gankers, you can just kill every one of them. Even parries, you can parry reliably in this game if you see what they're doing. It's just a great PvP. Oh yeah, there are like the forest where you can just do a little bit of like a free-for-all kind of. There was still, it was I think max 4 players in this game, but still it felt like a free-for-all in the forest. Duels are kind of nice as well, as long as people are not tryhards and they don't just fish for backstabs, you know. I think there's still people doing it in the DLC. Okay, so yeah, it's a tier game. So let's put then the remaster. The remaster actually, in my opinion, oh yeah, there are some problems with this obviously. The fact that it's 30 FPS, the Prepare to Die edition on PC was released and there was like a community mod. A guy made it that it was like 60 FPS. If not, it would be mostly unplayable or like very bad. Still like in console kind of, but it's still playable, but it's like kind of why. So they made the remaster has 60 FPS, you know. The problem with the remaster is they change some things. What they changed is that matchmaking. So PvP is ruined because of it, because they introduced here the weapon level requirement for PvP. So it means that you cannot invade or play with someone that has like a more than 3 levels or something, or like 2 levels from your weapon. Like if you have a +2 weapon, you cannot fight against someone that has a +5. So it means that you will never invade someone higher level than you You cannot be matched, and that kind of ruins the experience, because a good thing about this is that you can invade people that are infinitely higher level than you, and if you kill them, you get like a shit ton of souls. Like, I used to do it all the time. I used to level my characters for PvP just by invading. I don't even play the PvE. I just kill some noob that has like a lot of levels. A lot of times you get your ass kicked, but the time that you manage to kill someone, it is so rewarding, because you kill someone high level, you cannot do it anymore here because they locked you out of it. So I think this is not a very good remaster overall. Already Prepare to the Edition is better. Prepare to the Edition with the fix for FPS and some graphic changes, maybe it is the best version of Dark Souls 1. Don't remaster is not as good. For the PvP only. Okay, so after this, I think I am going to put like another one that is kind of easy to rank in a way, but I maybe have a different opinion about this, and this is Dark Souls 2. So Dark Souls 2, when it came out in 2014, I think it was 3 years later, 3 years after Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 1 is 2011. I remember being so excited about this game. Because I mean, they showed some footage as well that was misleading. Like, they showed like a different like graphics, better graphics than what it actually had. So when it first came out, it was like a disaster in my opinion. Like, this game was so bad when it came out. It was very bare bone game. He had no, like, there was no, like, why the Souls are good is because they used to be, at least, is that they have insane attention to detail in everything, really. So the entire experience feels like it's good, because everything is so cared for and carefully crafted, let's say, in all aspects, like all the mechanics, all the environments, the characters, everything. This game, it has not the same developer, obviously, so it does not have the class or like the same level of quality to it, It's the B team. It's just a B team game, so it goes into B. The thing about this, I don't know if there's, there is, okay, so there is Scholar of the First Sin. Okay, good. So we're gonna do, because my bad, this is not B. This game actually is D. When it came out, it's just super bad. It's like ultra bad when it came out, but then it actually got better throughout the years. Incredible. I don't know, I think it came out for PC as well at the time. I bought it for PlayStation 3. I think it came out for PC, and then came out the Scholar of the First Sin in 2015 or something for PlayStation 4, PC and everything. So this game is it's kind of like a Souls-like, if you know what I mean. Dark Souls 2, the original, because it's just not as good. Movement is not good. They changed the movement, how it works. PvP, I think PvP in this game is actually kind of fun. The problem is that there's no reason to do it, but it's kind of fun. I think there are a lot of specific texts about this game in PvP that are specific to Dark Souls 2 because of how different the whole system is. So it's kind of like a little experiment, or like it's just a different game, so it can be fun sometimes to play. I think I have quite a lot of hours. Not in this, I have in Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, which is actually a B tier game in my opinion, because this game, so first of all, they improved the lighting of the environments, first of all. So there are actually dark areas, the colors, I think they changed something in the saturation or something, but this was so bland. Like, everything was like so bland, it was all like shit. But this one, actually, they made the colors pop out more, it's so much nicer game aesthetically, in my opinion. Obviously in Dark Souls 2 there are a lot of problems. Everyone knows about this, I'm not gonna go into it. Like the infamous, like, you walk down to the Tower of Flames, you see the Tower of Flame, like, it's like 3 kilometers away or something, and you walk down like 200 meters and you're there, or like the Earthen Peak, it's like the windmill, Then you get on top of the windmill, you kill the poison boss, Myrta, I think she's called. and then you will go up the elevator, which was not there. You could see that there is no elevator up there, and you go into a motherfucking volcano. Like what? Like, it makes no sense at all, and they didn't even give a shit to fix that, and that's kind of funny. But other than that, I think Dark Souls 2, I will give Dark Souls 2 the fact that, well, Scholar, because this is just bad, but Scholar, okay. And this is the one that originated that to some extent. But I give it that they tried something different, They tried to give their own take, the new directors. So I respect that, actually. I think it's not that bad of a game, honestly. And the PvP, even though there's no incentive to PvP, it's fine. You can PvP, it's kind of fun. It's different. There's no reason to do it. That's the biggest problem. But other than that, I think it's a nice game. Obviously not on the same level as this, but it's... Oh yeah, how it holds up as well. I have to say how it holds up. This obviously does not really hold up well to play today. This still, I think it's kind of playable today because the movement is so much... It's still not good. The movement is better in Dark Souls 1, but it feels sluggish, This is more fluid game, more modern game, I would say. Okay, so... okay, let's put Demon Souls. So Demon Souls, in my opinion, is S tier game. The reason why that is... and yeah, obviously, it's not like perfect. And obviously, it does not hold up very well today to play it. It feels old, it feels dated. I've played it like recently, actually, on an emulator on PC with the 60 frame per second, but it does not feel that good to play. But this game, pretty much in my opinion, had it all already from the start. So it's like, it had super, like the levels were awesome. Like every single level, in my opinion, in this game, except maybe the swamp. Yeah, maybe the swamp is the only level that is kind of not that fun to go through, but all the levels are great. There's a lot of stuff in this game that people like don't realize, but it's like, for example, they use like some Mega Man stuff. Like, Mega Man is like an old game 2D where you have to go through a big place, and it's like there are some places if you go there you cannot progress. You have to find something somewhere else to progress. So in Demon Souls they had this concept of like every area had a weakness to some sort of attack, but you couldn't find that source of attack in that area. You have to find it somewhere else. So for instance, the Stonefang Tunnel, where the miners are, they are weak to piercing attacks and like magic, but there's no piercing weapons there, there's no magic there, so you have to find that somewhere else. And once you have it, you can go there and it's gonna be super easy. But if you go there and you don't know about that, it's gonna be super hard because you hit them, if you hit them with like a sword, you don't do damage to them. So yeah. So, and like in the Shrine of Storms, they're weak to blunt attacks. Even if you go barehanded, you're gonna do more damage than with your sword, let's say. So, and you can get the blunt weapon from somewhere else, So this game, the Nexus is the best. Is the best hub area they ever done, in my opinion. It is like, has characters, like the characters in the game are actually meaningful. Dark Souls 1 is kind of the same. There are interesting and meaningful characters. They are interesting. They're something you have never seen before. The type of way the characters interact with you, like I've never seen it before. Maybe it comes from somewhere, but I have not seen it. So the interaction, you can kill characters, you have to be very careful. You have to make meaningful decisions on how to progress their story, let's say. There are some in this game they tried a lot of things, and I really respect that, and I think they got so many of these things right. Like, for instance, they tried the war tendency mechanic, which I think is great. In my opinion, is like something that is like, it's almost like an esoteric thing that people just don't understand. Like, you have to really like get into it to really understand how it works. Or like, either you have to experiment a lot of things, or like you have to just look it up, because you're never gonna understand it, because the game doesn't explain it really. Maybe it does kind of, but not really. So there's a lot of that in this game. Like even the stats, if you just look at the stat page in Demon Souls, you will not understand at all anything. There's no like explanation, I don't think, in this game. I don't actually remember. Maybe there is. Not sure. But the symbols are like so like like for dex strength you will never understand. There's no tutorial. The only tutorial you get is like some messages in the ground. Very organic tutorial, by the way. Some messages in the ground, the little area at the start, that's it. And then you get some messages in the Nexus, that's it, you're on your own. And I love that because it doesn't hold your hand at all. It lets you figure out everything about the world. And the world itself, in my opinion, is just the atmosphere. I think many people know this, but the atmosphere and the original Demon's Souls is like, it just, I mean, it's so immersive, it's so nice, it's so good, you know. Everything is so, there's so much attention to detail on every level in this game, really. Like, the quality of the experience, like I would say that if you pick a game like Dark Souls 2, like, so many areas are filler areas where it's like, okay, whatever, just an empty room or whatever. I'm just walking through this long corridor with nothing in it. If you play this game, every single step you make, there is something to look at interesting, or like the architecture, like the environment, or like the paths that you have to go. There's so much interesting. It's so small, by the way. This game is so small. Everything is so small. Like, well, not all of it. Some areas like Boletaria maybe are like 4-1 or something. There are some open spaces, but they're very rare. For the most part, you're gonna feel very like kind of claustrophobic almost. Not really, but it's very small, tight corridors, that kind of stuff. And I think I really like it because it makes the experience so much more focused on you know, that. Compare that to like something like Elden Ring, which we're gonna get to in a bit. But I really like this style. It's very dungeon crawling kind of, but still it gives you the sense of a bigger world, because you go through the archstones and you go into all of the places on the earth, or like the Boletaria, whatever it's called, and it feels like a world. Even though it's not open world, it feels like it's open world. And what it does, this game, better than any other game, the freedom of choice that you have from the beginning is insane. You can literally go wherever you want. It's like, as I said before, they got this from like a Mega Man game. It's like a, you know, the Castlevania games where you have the big, you can explore this way, that way, you can go the other way, you know. There's that in Demon's Souls, and that's actually kind of great in my opinion. Gives you a lot of freedom, more freedom than any of the other games, to be honest. Even though it was the first one and it had less content, let's say. Also, they cut, like here, they cut the fifth archstone, which is the giants or whatever. They cut it. They couldn't finish it, so they didn't finish it. It's not like Dark Souls where they left some unfinished stuff, or like they rushed it. Here they were like, okay, we I don't know if they have to publish. I don't know if they had like a timeline or something. Probably they did. So they just cut it, and they kept all the well done things, you know. So that's great. Also, the PvP, in my opinion, this is gonna be something maybe people don't agree, but because you didn't play it, probably that's why you don't agree. If you would have played it, you will agree. I am pretty 100% sure that anyone who played the original Demon's Souls PvP will agree with me that it's actually the best PvP in the entire series. Because in this game, the PvP in this game, it's, first of all, is the fastest. Demon's Souls has had the fastest movement and combat system. Maybe Dark Souls 3 is kind of, obviously not Bloodborne. Bloodborne has faster movement and all of that, but from the Souls games, I think Demon's Souls and Dark Souls 3 probably are the ones that have the fastest movement. But Demon's Souls, I think, is slightly faster actually. It's a bit weird to describe, but it is faster. The pace of the PvP is faster in Demon's Souls because rolls are so fast and rolling attacks are so fast, you know, that there are combos in this. So in this game, backstabs are what you need, and parries to some extent. There were some infinite combos, but there is toggle escape in these games. You can always there are some glitches in PvP that they got rid of in the later games that make them very nice. It's like the fighting games. I always say this. Like, you know, combos in Street Fighter were not a thing, you know, like low kick into Hadouken. It's like a bug in the game. But then they implemented the bug as a feature later on because it was so good. People found out. But the problem with this is that Miyazaki, or whoever is in charge of this, they had the bugs. Everything was working. There was a very in-depth system, and they removed the bugs. So now you have like some streamlined shit like Dark Souls 3, which we're gonna get to it later. But this game and this game, the PvP is the best in these two games in my opinion. Even Dark Souls 2 has nice PvP, honestly. It's not bad in Dark Souls 3, but we're gonna get to it. So there is like that angle, you know, you can, if someone uses a shield, I know nowadays people complain about shields in Elden Ring. You play Demon Souls, there is that angle. That angle means that if you hit and you unlock and you turn your character and you hit them when you're not looking at them, like with a wide swing from a sword or something, you hit them when your character is not facing towards them, you're gonna hit them through the shield. It's a bug. But you need to have some execution to pull it off. It requires some knowledge of the game and some execution to do it. So it's fair in my opinion. Everyone can do it. If you know about it, more power to you, you know? It's not game breaking or anything, you can still roll the attack, but if someone is like a big noob turtle player, you can that angle all day, you know? There's stuff like the push lock combo with the katanas, you know, you can. There's no kick in this game, there's like a push. If you can push and hit. If you have like the left hand weapon, for whatever reason, came out faster. The attack came out faster, so there was an infinite combo that you can do. There's all sorts of like, all the weapons are viable in this game in PvP. It's insane how much it is actually balanced. There is second chance, so you can, if you make a mistake, you don't just die instantly. Like for instance, like something like, if I get hit in Elden Ring, some people will just one-shot me. But whatever, you get back to life. You have one more chance. You can cast it again later if you need. Duels are fun, you know. Invasions. I did a lot of invasion in this game. I think invasions are the best in this because the environment for Demon Souls is the best invader-friendly environment. First of all, you could kill enemies, actually. I don't remember if in Dark Souls 1. Can you kill enemies in Dark Souls 1? No, you can't. As the invader, you can't. But in this game, as the invader, you can kill all the enemies if you want. In the world, you can just kill the enemies. It's so much fun. And they don't even fight you back. It was abusable. People would do it to help their friend or whatever. They would invade their friend, or like they will red summon or something. I don't remember if red summon can do that, but whatever. So they changed it. But my point is that as the invader, since the environments are so much smaller and it's so much more compact, let's say, you have so many more opportunities to ambush someone. Like the environments are perfect. It's like they're designed for invasions, honestly. And so many times they will have to fight some enemies. They cannot just run away. It's like if you play Dark Souls 3 PvP, you know what people do in Dark Souls 3? And this is a little bit of a, you know, rant or whatever, but I don't really care. I'll say it. People host, they use the finger or whatever that lures invaders to them, and they just run around the whole day. They run around, they hit you sometimes, they go back, they kill someone, they drink Astus, and they just run and roll. It's just a run fest. Here you can't run because there's no space to. You cannot run through someone. Like if you want to run, the invader can literally block your path, you know. He can stand there and just block you, and you have to fight them, you know. It's so much more fun in my opinion. There are so many more, you know. So PvP, in my opinion, this is the best PvP. The world design, I think, is one of my second favorite. It's not my favorite, but it is very nice world design, very nice environment and everything. I think I will say something about the bosses of this game. I know I'm spending a lot of time on Demon Souls, but trust me, I could talk about this forever, kind of. I'm trying to cut it down a little bit. The bosses. So many people say the bosses are trash. The bosses are bad. In my opinion, for me, I really like the style of the bosses in Demon Souls because they're more of a puzzle, let's say. Like, most of them. There are some traditional, like, duels, like the Penetrator Demon or something. Penetrating Demon? I don't know how it's called. That's a duel, like, you know, Gael in Dark Souls 3 or, like, you know, the Pontiff or whatever. Or the more... It's kind of like the more recent, like, Sekiro games, which is like a duel where you have to time your attacks or whatever and you have to dodge and all of that. But it's not that every fight is like that. not every fight is like a duel. It is rare that you get that. I think it's the only one. King Galant, the final boss of the game also. Well, it's not the final boss, but the second from the last final boss is also a duel. That's it. So there's 2 duels. And the other boss, there is the classic Dark Souls 2 boss, which is the big guy with armor. It's like the Dirty Colossus in the swamp. Is kind of like that, which is like this dull, slow enemy that you go around, you hit, you go around, you hit. There's that. There's also gimmick bosses, which people hate usually. But in my opinion, these are like, I think they are well done actually. Maybe they're not as fun. Like, for instance, the Dragon God is not as fun, but like Dragon God, the Storm Ruler, they're so like iconic, and so it's so fun, so much fun. When you go in for the first time, you see that big guy, and how the hell am I gonna kill this guy? And it's like a little puzzle, you know? It's like Shadow of the Colossus, where you have to figure out, there's like a big monster, you have to, how do I kill it? And it's not so much about your reflexes or like, oh, I can dodge or press an attack at the right time, you know? It's more about figuring out the puzzle or like how it works. And so there's so much variety in this game, you know? Because you get the dual experience, even though it's not very refined. It's like the very bare bones, like dodge, hit, duel. Then there are the more like, big enemy that you just hit a bunch of times and they are kind of slow, whatever. And then there's like the gimmicks, which are actually done well in this game, in my opinion. Yeah. There's like the double boss fight, you know, everything already was in this game. There is the monk that summons like a PvP, like just a PvP duel as a boss fight. Super nice to get people to do the PvP. So yeah, it's just kind of in my opinion, it's just a great game overall. So let's talk about the remaster real quick, and we're gonna get to the end of this. How much of already 30 minutes? It's fine. I mean, I'm gonna take my time for this. I enjoy talking about this kind of stuff, and if you care to listen, that's fine. If not, it's fine as well. So Demon's Souls Remaster, I've not played this game actually because I don't own a PS5. In my opinion, for what I've seen, I don't really like this studio, this Bluepoint or whatever. They're kind of playing it so safe, man. They did the Shadow of the Colossus remaster as well. They're like, they just take the free brownie points. Because they know that if they change something, they will upset people. So they want to keep it exactly the same, but also make it look good. But at the same time, it's like, man, why do you even do the remake then? Just to make it look good? What? It already looks pretty good, you know? Like, I don't know, man. I feel like at least they could have tried to make the 5th Archstone. Even if it was trash, at least just fucking try, man. It's just a remake, you know, or remaster or whatever. Just do it. Who cares? Why are you such a pussy, you know? Like, why are they pussies? Like, why don't they just try to do something? Like, I respect Dark Souls 2 more than this, you know, because at least they try to do something, you know? So I think it's just, I don't know. I also, the colors in this, the atmosphere, I saw a lot of footage of this game. It's totally different from the original. It's just different, you know? So they changed that. Why don't you improve the game a little bit? Why don't you... I saw that they didn't even unlock the 4-directional roll because, no, I want to keep the same exact code. Maybe they're actually lazy about that. I don't know. But I don't really have an opinion about this game too much, but I'm not going to rate it. I think as a remaster, it's not very good. Maybe C, whatever. It's not as bad. Probably as a game, it's not as bad as Dark Souls 2 original. Yeah, that's probably true. But I wouldn't put it higher because they also ruined the atmosphere with the graphics, the new graphics. Okay, so we're gonna get into some juicy stuff here. So let's say Dark Souls 3. So Dark Souls 3, in my opinion, is just a B tier game. And the reason for that, there's a lot of reasons why. First of all, this game has the Bloodborne structure. So it's like a corridor. It's just one long corridor. So anytime you play this game, it's always the same shit. Always. You will always play the same way, the game. This game, you can play many different ways every time. This game, you can go wherever you want. You can go to the catacombs early. You can go to, the Blight Town. You can go to the church. You can, skip some stuff and all of that. This game, actually, you can go literally wherever you want. There are 5 corridors, but there are 5 corridors. This is just one corridor. Bro, what? PvE is bad. Bad PvE. I mean, the levels themselves are not that bad. Like Lothric Castle, it's fine. I think they are starting to fall into the trap here of making the game too big, in my opinion. Like, if you look at the Undead Settlement, for instance, it's such a big area, man. Like, it's so much stressful to keep up with everything you have to do. Like, you have to, if you want to do it 100%, that is, which I usually do in PvE. I complete the entire game usually. I don't want to miss some items or anything. So you have to go through so many, there's so many different ways you can go. It's so much, here you just only have one way to go, but you can choose which way. Like, you have a lot of options, but once you choose one, that's it. You go that way and you go through the level and it's fine. If you look closely, you will find everything. Here you have to be so much, like the swamp. Oh my god, the swamp in this game. Nowadays, I kind of memorize where everything is, so I know how to go through it. Like, I go that fire, then I pick up these items, then I do this turn around or whatever. But man, it's so much. The catacombs are so bad, they're so like bland, so empty, the catacombs in this game. If you compare the catacombs from to the catacombs of Dark Souls 1, they're so much better. Even just to look at visually, they're so much more appealing. This is just a big open area with bad lighting and like generic enemies. It's the same stuff, nothing new. I don't know. Like the lake and the area below the lake. Oh my god, man. People love Irithil in this game. I don't know. Like, it's just a big, like, the enemies are so dull. Like, I just don't like it, man. It's like, it's all the same, all gray. What? Oh, you get one Orlando. Whoa, so cool. Man, that is so bad, actually. This game, I think, has uninspired environments and uninspired lore of the game, or like story of what's going on. I think the DLCs are great. Don't get me wrong. The DLCs are what saved this game, actually. But the main game is like so like disappointing, in my opinion. The combat is nice. They did refine the combat. It is the most fluid, let's say, version of the Dark Souls experience, let's say. But still, it's like, whatever, I'm fighting these enemies. Like, you could tell that this game, even though they made it, it's not really that Miyazaki really wanted to make it, in my opinion. In my opinion, Miyazaki only made 3 games, which is, the trilogy is like Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne. We're gonna get to that. Sekiro is a different game. Dark Souls 3 is like, they pushed him to do it, probably. So, it has the same... This is when PvP got killed, by the way. Bloodborne killed PvP in these games because it killed the invasions. And they kept that from Bloodborne. Even though you can still invade in Dark Souls 1 and find like a solo host or whatever. The invasion idea is to find a solo host, actually. It's not to invade into groups where it's like, oh, you are part of the enemies and you invade like a 3-man gang and you make their game harder. No, it's not like that. Invasion is Demon Souls, Dark Souls, where you just go and kill someone and you have incentive to do it. When you invade in Demon Souls or in Dark Souls 1, you get a shit ton of souls for it. Here you get like 500 souls when you get a kill, so it doesn't even matter. A lot of people play this game. A lot of the Call of Duty players play this game because it's just a brain dead fun fest where you go into the swamp or whatever. You have like 5 people in the same wall and you just fight it out. Like, I don't know. It's just I just don't like it. It's not true to the original concept of the games, in my opinion. It's more of like a free-for-all deathmatch, Call of Duty deathmatch, that's what it is. The combat also is very dumbed down compared to the originals. And even Dark Souls 2, to some extent, you can only do like 2-hit combos. There are some specific combos that you can do. There are some tricks that you can do. But most of the tricks that you can do are just abusive and not fun. Like, it's not like Dead Angle, which increases the depth of the combat. Dead Angle is a glitch here, it's a glitch here. Or like reverse rolls. Reverse rolls are a thing, in Dark Souls 1. If you can pull it off, it's kind of hard to do. It can give you like a slight advantage in some situations, Here, the glitch is like Estus cancel, which makes it cancer pretty much. So or like the bow glitch, whatever. I mean, these are just very, I don't know. The PvP in this game, even though I played it quite a lot, I think overall is not as good as the PvP in these games. Also, the player versus environment as well does not hold up well in my opinion, because it's always the same path. Every game is the same. Yes, I know you can go for the can kill the dancer and go to the castle. Woohoo! You have won. You can do that. Oh, nice. That's it. So what saves this game actually? The DLCs are actually. If it was for the DLCs in this game are actually A or S even. I think they're very nice. The DLCs are super nice. Ariandel, I really love Ariandel as a DLC as a whole, because it's just like Dark Souls 1. It's like a little world. There's no verticality. There is kind of some verticality, but it's like a little world, and there's so much interesting to explore and to see like the mystery behind it or whatever. You feel a little bit like a detective, that you're kind of figuring what the fuck is going on here, you know. So it's very nice. And obviously the Ringed City, I think that DLC is very nice lore wise, and I get a lot of ideas from that, which I'm not gonna talk about, but I think in terms of like the lore of the game, I think they put a lot of, you know, it's very nice. And even the painter, like the DLC is kind of, I think, in my opinion, they clarify a lot from the lore standpoint about these games, which was kind of not really clarified in the Dark Souls 3 final game, like the original, the vanilla game. Okay, so yeah. Okay, let's talk about Sekiro real quick. So Sekiro, in my opinion, I'm not gonna rate Sekiro actually, because I've not finished it. I've only played some, like maybe not even halfway through. I don't know. I got to the boss in the castle and I kind of lost interest, because it's like this game is just a rhythm game basically. It's not a Souls. It's like you just have to press buttons when they ask you to press buttons. It's like the game is very fixed, and you have to press the button when the game asks you to press the button. It's like Guitar Hero. Literally, it's just Guitar Hero, but in an environment which is, in my opinion, overdone and boring, which is Japanese, whatever, feudal age or whatever, I don't know. Like, it's like, man, these castles, ninjas, whatever, I don't know. I just don't, I think like, it's not very appealing to me. I play a shit ton of Neo, not Neo 2, Neo 1, and that game has that environment, but also the combat is a sandbox in that game. So it has, the combat is, in this game, the combat is like a railway. You have to really, like, you press the button when they ask you to. In a game like Neo, you have freedom in the combat. So in Neo everything is bad, Neo, but the combat is like a open world, you know, in Neo. In this, the combat also is like bad, in my opinion, because it's just, okay, it's just Guitar Hero, literally Guitar Hero. It's not bad, it can be satisfying to play, but it's like, it got boring to me. There's no PvP, so no multiplayer. So every game is going to be the same. Yeah, okay, there are the things you can change a little bit of. It's not even an RPG. There are some things you can change on your character. But overall, I kind of dislike this game, so I'm going to put it at C. I know this is like a subjective opinion. Someone else may love this game. I understand that, but not really for me, or it's not really in the spirit of the Souls games, in my opinion. Okay, so let's put Elden Ring somewhere. And Elden Ring is gonna go straight into B, above Dark Souls 3, and it's gonna go exactly the same as Dark Souls 2. Elden Ring is exactly like Dark Souls 2. If you are someone that likes Dark Souls 2, the most refined version, obviously, so it's called not this trash, but this, very refined, but it's full of filler content. The game is too big for no reason. You can tell literally that B team work on this game. If you look at the who participated in making this game, it's the A team, which made the good stuff, and the B team at the same time, and you can see it. There are some parts of this, like maybe the legacy dungeons they're called, but not even. I mean, by the way, I've not finished this. I just lost interest after I got to the capital city or something. So I completed fully the first 3 areas, like the Limgrave, the Salid area, the southern area, and the swamp, like the lake. I did literally everything. Like I explored everything. Literally, I didn't miss a single thing. It just got boring because you're just looking to pick up mushrooms. I mean, I talk about this in some other videos, but it's like the experience, like what made these games good is the quality. Okay, the quality of everything. Here, since it's so big, everything is dispersed. Like the quality level goes up and down. So yes, some areas like the Stormvale Castle, I felt like it was kind of cool. Still, some not as good as some other dungeons. But to be honest with you, it's not like the best. Like even the 1-1 level is better than Stormvale in my opinion in Demon's Souls. But okay, cool, big level, a lot of stuff, but still it's so big that there's not that much quality. There's still so many like empty corridors, empty rooms, big open areas. Like, oh man, like I don't enjoy my time as much playing this as to play something more, refined, which we were used to in the old games. And like, let's talk about the like, why would you put crafting? Why, man? Why did you put crafting in the game? Okay, it's kind of fun at the start, but then it gets fucking tedious, man. I don't know. I'm not a big Minecrafter myself, so I don't know. But I understand the problem with this game is that the bottom line is that they try to have a bigger appeal, and they succeed. This is the most the one that sold the most, I think, at the start, and like they are getting so much money from this because of the marketing and like the oh, this game is hard, this game is so big, is open world, but they lost the quality in my opinion. I'm sure this will not make sense to some people. I don't want to explain a lot. You can watch some other videos that I made about this topic. I think I'm not going to go into too much detail. Yeah, about the difficulty. Like the way the difficulty evolved is that these games became like you get these bosses that are just unfair, like it's not fun to get your ass kicked by some like literally ninjutsu anime god, fast as fuck. You have to memorize all the moves, but you don't get moves yourself. Like all you can do is like literally dodge and hit, dodge and hit, dodge and hit, and you have to dodge, and maybe you can hit one time. It's just, I don't know, the design of the bosses in the recent ones like Dark Souls 3, Elden Ring, is the same in Bloodborne, but the difference in the Bloodborne is you have a faster movement, faster combat. You can do faster things in Bloodborne. Here you can't. You're stuck with the freaking roll, man. You have to roll, then hit, roll and hit. There's no combos, no nothing. You can just roll R1, roll R1. So, I don't know. The bosses, I don't know. Yeah, again, there's so much filler content in this. All the caves, all the dungeons, they're all made by the B team. You can tell. The open world, it's just, there's no, like, why would you have an open world if there's no reward in exploring it? What do you get as a reward? In the first 3 regions, you don't get shit, man. There's no weapons, there's no armor, there's nothing like actually cool that, oh my god, I found this. Yeah, sometimes you get these shit items, shit little items, but overall, there's so many, like I would explore some place and I will find like a hidden like, little area where there's like this item, and it's a mushroom. It became a meme, dude, like, oh, I'm exploring and I find mushrooms. Like, why explore then? You just grief yourself by making the game so big, and then you have to fill it with stuff. It's so big that you have to fill it with stuff that is useless. So they made like systems, in my opinion, they made some systems later that are just useless, like the crafting, even the spirits that you can summon, which are literally reused assets, like reuse assets from the enemies you fight. You can summon them and you can find those in the environment, because otherwise it would be so empty, because there's nothing to do in the open world. So yeah, PvP is actually super bad in this game. It's just super they dumbed it down even more, super basic, just one hit. There are some cancer things that are just like, it's so unfun to play against. People, like some noob will just one shot you for no reason because they spam like some broken Ashes of War or whatever. It's not even that it's broken, but it's like if you make one mistake, you lose 3/4 of your HP. No one plays like the fundamentals of the games, like in terms of like dueling or like invading. Like they just spam some broken shit or like some broken magic or whatever, and you just die. It's like such a trash experience in multiplayer. But I still put it in B tier because, you know, you have to respect the polish and the overall, like, it's not as good. Like, it's too big, the quality, but the quality is like not always on top, but the game is polished overall, so it's just a big game. It's a good game, you know. Overall, it's a good in the overall gaming landscape. It's a good game. Okay, so I could talk about this more, but I'm gonna leave it here. So the last one, I'm sure you guys probably figured it out, but it's the best. It goes above Demon's Souls, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people probably think the same. Or like saw it coming, hearing what I said before about these are the Miyazaki games, actually. Like the Demon's Souls, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne are the Miyazaki games. Elden Ring also, they brought in George Martin because they are desperate. They have no ideas anymore. They don't know what to do anymore. So they're like, oh, please, George Martin, come in and help us. We are making the same fucking shit game for 10 years. We have no more ideas. We're making the exact same. The characters are so uninteresting in this. The NPCs are so boring. They're all the same shit, man. We've seen it so many times already. Like, they cannot do something new, you know? So they brought in George Martin because, for PR, first of all, to sell to some, you know, I don't know, 35-year-old, I don't know, that watches Game of Thrones. I don't fucking know. I don't even know who watches Game of Thrones. I never watched it, so I don't know. So Bloodborne, S tier, is the best. Bloodborne is the best game they've ever made, in my opinion. It is a little bit subjective because of taste, and like the gothic style, I really like it. So some people maybe like more the Japanese aesthetic or whatever. Maybe they like Sekiro more, but for me, I think in overall it is pretty much objective, actually, that this is the best game, actually, in terms of the mechanics, the PvE of the game. This is the fastest game. It's the one where they started to introduce this concept of like fast-paced combat with the bosses, you know, like reflex, offensive, like kind of play style where you have to. It's a lot of fun, actually, because this game supports it. Unlike Dark Souls 3, which they copy the same system, but they don't have the movement of the character that supports that kind of combat system, the boss fights or whatever, or even normal encounters for that matter. So this feels odd because you don't have the quick step, but here you have quick step. So quick step makes it so that you can go in, you know, and it's like a very high adrenaline gameplay. So it's a lot of fun to play. The environments are like, they are so much like, you can tell they're so inspired, you know, like they got it like right, you know, like they were so like, when they were making this game, they were having so much fun. You could tell, really, it's like you can tell, because they got the inspiration from the, you know, Victorian, like London, whatever. So on the surface you get that, but there's like a twist, and this is something that I really love. Like in any media, like video game, movies, books, or whatever, even art, I really like if they have like a twist or something, like. And there is a twist which I never saw it when I played this game in 2019. So I played it actually and I played it sometime every year. I play some Bloodborne because I get the itch to play it, but like, so I played it 5 years after it came out. I played it late 2019. So it's like 5 years after it came out. I never saw anything about it. I never got spoiled or anything because I bought a PS4 when it was on sale. I got it and I was not expecting the twist. It's like they give you some hints. Like they give you hints. Like in the early game, they drop like the, you know, the madman knowledge or whatever it's called. And so you read it and say like, what is that? And you're like, oh shit. And then there's like a twist. It's like, it's not like only this werewolves and like, you know, plague or like Victorian, you know. There's like some Lovecraftian, Cthulhu, outer space horrors, you know. It's like, holy shit. It's like, and you get to fight them, you see them, you fight them, you know. It's really like, I think honestly, Bloodborne is probably like the best game I have ever played in my life. Actually, I think it's the best game I've ever played. It's just so good, you know. It's just so everything about it is so good. Like the combat, they got the philosophy of less, but done with more quality. There's so few weapons in this game, but when you find a weapon, you know you're onto something, you know. It's like, oh shit, a weapon. I found a weapon. Or like you find some. There's less content, but it's done better, you know? And that's a high quality experience, in my opinion. And it really is, yeah, it's super nice. Super nice game. They did do something different. So there's like the blood tinge stat, which I was like, what? Blood tinge? What is this? What does it do? You know, there's some new stats. Arcane is not really explained. What, like, there are some things that they did differently than the old formula, let's say. So they did innovate in that regard. The movement also. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the characters. Obviously, the characters in this game, they are probably like the most memorable characters. Uh, like I would say they're almost on the level of some like iconic video games characters, like, you know, Snake from Metal Gear Solid. I would say that like Lady Maria and, like, you know, the like German, the doll, these characters like so iconic, like really, like obviously they're not as fleshed out as some of the, like, you know, but they're so impactful in what they, or like Ludwig, you know, like Ludwig is like, in my opinion, they got the Souls formula perfect with someone like Ludwig. It's like you hear about him in the items, you know, you read the items, you're like, okay, this guy was like the head of the church or whatever, or of the, you know, the militia of the church or whatever. Then you hear some other people talking about him, you get the item, you get his sword, you get it, and then you find him, and obviously there's like a twist as always, and it's like, you know, it's just, and you know, the scene when he has the moonlight grace is like, oh my god, like I get goosebumps only thinking about that, you know. So only for that, and the characters are so like they're so well written, they have their own like motives, you know. It's so like the best characters, actually. Very, very, very nice and very, you know, iconic characters in this game, like NPCs. The only problems, okay, it's not perfect game, but compared to the other, is the best for sure. But the problems in with this game are that, first of all, there's no variety really. Like, yes, you can make like 3 builds maybe, and I have done 2. I have done 2 builds, and I have one that I really like, so I play with that one. But I've never played with an arcane character. I've never got really into the whole, you know, what is that? The cost parasite, like the head, the mushroom head thing. I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff, man. So I didn't really get into that. But for the, like, I play like blood tinge and, like, you know, skill whatever, and some strength or whatever, like a quality / blood tinge build. So I tried the stats. I saw all the weapons pretty much, except some of the arcane tools or whatever. But I've seen, like, I don't think I've ever casted the arcane tool which requires 40 arcane, because I've never got a character with 40 arcane. So other than that, let's just talk about some of the flaws of the game. Is that, first of all, it's not like a RPG, so it's more of an action game, which is fine, actually. It's fine, but it's not really in the Souls spirit to do that. In a way, it's like every character is like a hunter. You don't have like a warrior, like a rogue, or like a mage. No, everyone is a hunter. So every run is pretty much you going through the same. It's like same as Dark Souls 3. You go through the same path every time. There's no variety in that, so that's kind of a little bit of a flaw in my opinion, but it's fine because the quality is so good and the experience is so, like, such a high standard throughout. There are some areas, to be honest, which are, in my opinion, a little bit below what I would expect. Like, for instance, when you get to Yargul, when you see the real, when you have the moon, the blood moon, that area are like I don't know, with the big spiders. That stuff is kind of. But for the most part, the overall the game is very nice, very consistent, and very high quality. So even though you have to go through it every time the same way, it's fine. It's fun still to make a run of Bloodborne. So the other thing is that the PvP got ruined. This would have been, honestly, this PvP system would have been probably the best because it's so fast paced. The problem is that first of all there's lag. So with the gunshots, you cannot really predict. People are gonna be very spam happy in this game because with the lag that there is with the PlayStation, I wish they would put it on PC with a good connection. Or like they would fix the connectivity, because also the thing is that if you want to play on PS4, you have to, there's like a online paycheck every month, which I'm not a big fan of, to be honest. So I did play for a little while, but then I kind of stopped because I don't want to pay 10 euros every month just to play some online when I can play on PC for free, you know. So but I play a lot of PvP in this game, don't get me wrong, I played it a lot. So the thing about this is that they killed invasions, because there's no invasion anymore in this game. You only invade someone that is that will say, okay, I also want to invade or get invaded. So you cannot invade someone and they don't want to get invaded, which is the whole part of the fun. So, and then, or you will invade groups, which is what killed, in my opinion, the multiplayer. Oh, there's only 2 areas in the game where you can actually invade. But why only 2 areas? Why can't I invade anywhere? Makes no sense to me, but whatever. They kind of ruined it, in my opinion, with that. And the lag. These are the things that kind of ruined it. And the paywall for playing the PvP. So there's like even less people that play, probably. So if not for that, I think this game was very nice. The DLCs are actually, the quality is so high in the DLCs that, you know, it's very nice DLCs. I'm not gonna talk about that too long, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't have to say much more about this. I think this is the definitive correct tier list in terms of like all the Souls games. And if you don't agree with me, you're wrong, but you can tell me why you don't agree with me if you want. If you made it this far, you can leave a comment and say why you don't agree, and maybe we can talk about that. Okay, so have a nice day. Bye bye.